Now, as is very common with this time of year, of course, we've got plenty of bike launches, and today we have this, the brand new Canyon Ultimate 5th generation. Now, the previous generation, Gen 4, came out 5 years ago, so this is well overdue an upgrade. However, the changes are quite subtle, so let's get into them. Now, the Canyon Ultimate has always been known to be lightweight. However, that isn't something they've really focused on with this new model. What they have done, they've actually strengthened the frame in areas to make it a bit more resilient. So they've actually added 30 grams of carbon fibre to make this frame a little bit stronger. Now, it's not to say that the bike isn't lighter. Of course, it's Canyon, it's the Ultimate, of course it's lighter, but it's by a very marginal amount. And they've done that by saving in other parts of the frame. Now, of course, with Canyon, you've obviously got their proprietary components, and that is where they've actually saved more of the weight. So they've used Canyon CP18 Cockpit, and they've now got a D-shaped seat post. So they may not have lost a lot of weight from the frame, but they have lost it from the components that have to be attached to this frame. Now, as usual with Canyon, they have got 3 different models of the Ultimate. You've got the SL, which is your kind of cheapest way of getting into the Ultimate lineup. You've then got the SLX, which is going to be for your keen enthusiasts. And then you've got the CFR, Canyon Factory Racing. So that is going to be for the pros and the really, really dedicated riders. Now, across those 3 different platforms, you've got 11 different models. They start at £2,699, and you'll be able to see other worldwide pricing on screen right now. Now, the range tops out at 10,899 Great British pounds, and of course, we'll show you some of the other pricing on those top-end models as well. Now, with any bike launch today, of course, there's going to be some sort of aero claim, and it's the same for the Ultimate as well. But it has been done in a couple of different ways. With the adoption of the CP18 Cockpit, which has come across from the Aeroad, they've also made a subtle change to the fork here, and you can see that the shoulders are shaped slightly differently, and they say that is also where they managed to find a little bit of speed. Now, onto the numbers. As a frame set alone, they say it's 10 watts faster than the previous version, but when you have a rider on it, it's 5 watts faster. So it's a subtle improvement, but it is an improvement. Now, one other headline feature of this bike is that it now has clearance for up to 32mm wide tyres. However, that isn't what is stocked on the bike from when it's built. What you do have is a 25mm tyre up front for the aero advantage, and then you have a 28mm tyre out on the back for a little bit more comfort, which is quite nice. It's nice that they've thought about that. Now, speaking of comfort, one thing I do really like is the adoption of this cockpit, because for those of you who don't know, this is width adjustable. So it does mean it's going to work for a large variety of riders, and actually handlebar width can be one of those changes that you're reluctant to make because it does mean having to go out and buy a whole new handlebar. But with this, you just slide them in and out, bolt them up, job done. Now, on to sizing. Across the entire Ultimate range, you can go all the way down to a 3XS and then all the way up to a 2XL. So they have got some really comprehensive sizing in there. There aren't any female-specific sizing, but that's because they've got so much versatility in them that you can make it work for any body shape. Now, on the SL version, on the 3XS and the 2XS, it actually comes with 650B wheels, and on the SLX, you get 650B wheels on the 3XS, but not the 2XS. Onto the CFR version, and all wheels have a 700C wheel size, because if you're a pro, no matter what you're doing, you're going to want those 700C wheels. Now, one of those final claims that manufacturers always love to build in is increasing their stiffness. And of course, this is no different. Canyon claim that this is 5% stiffer, although that is always one of those very tricky things to actually quantify. But when we head out for a ride later, maybe it will feel beautiful. One thing that will also contribute to that stiffness feeling is actually this brand new D-shaped seat post. Not only is it great for aero, but it does also mean that it's incredibly stiff as well. Now, that's not something you potentially want on a seat post, because usually it's nice to have some compliance in there to make it nice and comfy, and Canyon have recognised that. So what they've done is they've changed the carbon layup of this bike down on the seat stays and in the frame itself to kind of build in the compliance from there, because they do recognise that obviously this probably won't be the most comfortable seat post in the world. One other little feature, and actually is a big sign as to what's to come from Canyon, is this, the computer mount. It's actually 3D printed, it weighs 17 grams, so pretty light, bolts straight into the cockpit itself, and comes with either a Garmin or a Wahoo mounting option, which is perfect. But what that does is that it raises the bigger question over what's going to come from their accessory lineup, because back here on the back of the seat post, we actually have a little threaded bolt hole, and that is because Canyon are bringing out a rear light that can be threaded straight into the seat post and is also held in place with magnets, so no matter how bumpy the road gets, it's not going to be falling off. Now, one thing which I'll be sporting later is some of Canyon's very own kit, and they have actually designed this from the ground up and then have it produced elsewhere. It's going to be really interesting to see what it's like, and I think this could again be the start of Canyon bringing out even more products. Now, this 5th generation Ultima is very much an incremental improvement over its predecessor. So if you have recently bought a 4th gen Ultima, I wouldn't feel too hard done by it. The 4th generation Ultima actually won Bike of the Year here at Cycling Weekly for 2 years, so we think the platform is really good. And if this is going to be anything like the 4th generation, then it should be a bit of a recipe for success. All we do know with this 5th generation so far is that it has taken home a couple of stage wins at the Vuelta, so we know it can perform well, but will it perform well for everyone? Right, talking over, it's time to jump out onto the roads and see how this really performs.
Well, we are currently on the roads that the Ultimate finds home, the hills. Bit of a steep one, but the bike does feel nice. I'll give it that. Oh, my legs ruined.
Well, ladies and gents, we're back now at base. I've had a bit of time to settle down from that ride. It did get pretty punchy on that final climb of the day, and the descent was equally as fast, but it was really, really enjoyable. I think my key takeaway from that ride was that on the climbs, it felt really playful actually, and it kind of urged you to kind of keep going, keep pushing, which was really nice. It's something you'd kind of expect from a racy ultimate climbing frame. The other thing that I found was how stable it felt. On the descents, it felt absolutely rock solid, and it was so stable that it made me notice. I think you can always say that bikes handle like they're on rails and they corner incredibly well, but this really did feel very stable, despite its kind of quite direct and pointy front end. Now that it has adopted the Aero geometry, it could be at risk of being too aggressive, but actually, it felt really nice to ride. And if you kind of put your weight further back on the descents and just let the bike flow down, it felt really, really good. So I think it's going to be very interesting to ride this bike for longer, see how it performs on the long term. Do let me know what you think about this bike though down in the comments. I always enjoy reading what you guys have to say. If you enjoyed the video, drop it a like, subscribe to the channel for more content, and I'll see you again very soon.